A critical heart indicates a personal dissatisfaction with the circumstances of my life. Welcome. I'm John Winkelman, and I am your spiritual fitness coach. What do you think of that phrase? Let me say it again. A critical heart indicates a personal dissatisfaction with the circumstances of my life. Here's what I mean. I am most tempted to be critical of others when I am most dissatisfied with myself. A classic example of this is Judas Iscariot, the man who betrayed Jesus. The Apostle John, in his account of Jesus' life, usually called the Gospel of John, tells the story of a woman named Mary pouring an extremely expensive ointment on Jesus' feet and wiping it off with her hair. This incredible picture of devotion and self-sacrifice is marred when Judas speaks up. Listen to what he says, and then to John's explanation of why. John chapter 12, verses 5 and 6. Why was this ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief, and having charge of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. Judas is critical of Mary, not because he actually cares about anyone. Judas is critical because all he cares about is himself. Judas is dissatisfied with his life, dissatisfied with himself, and so he lashes out in criticism of others. When we feel a critical spirit welling up inside of us, it is a strong indication that we need to stop and do some serious self-evaluation. After all, do we really want to be like Judas? I can recall a time in my life when I was very judgmental and critical of people. The problem was, I didn't even realize it. One day, in a conversation with a group of friends, we all decided that the next day we would keep a 3x5 index card in our pocket, and every time we had a critical thought of someone else, we would put a mark on the card. I am saddened to say that by the end of that day, my marks had moved to the back of the card. I don't remember how many there were or how many anyone else had. What I do remember is that each one of us had a realization that day. I was far more critical than I had ever known. So what do we do about it? To answer that question, go with me to the end of the book of John. In John 21, Jesus has just finished talking to Peter about love, service, and what the end of Peter's life will be like. Peter turns, looks at John, and this is what he says, John 21, verse 21. When Peter saw him, he said to Jesus, "Lord, what about this man?" Wow. Isn't that so like us? Jesus, what about my spouse? What about my friend? What about my kids, my parents, my siblings? Jesus, can't we talk about someone else? What Jesus says to Peter is our answer to criticism. Look at verse 22. Jesus said to him, "If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me." Allow me to give you the John Winkelman short version of this verse. Stop worrying about everyone else and follow Jesus. This is the cure for a critical heart. Stop looking at everyone else and follow Jesus. Don't be like Judas. Win today over criticism by following Jesus.